In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. The writer's biography, Ustaz Haji Ash'ari Muhammad. Ustaz Haji Ash'ari Muhammad was born on the 30th of October 1937 in Piling, Rembau, Negeri Sembilan. As he now approaches 70 years of age, the majority of his life was spent dedicated to the pursuit and glory of Islam. One of the ways that Ustaz Ash'ari carried out this task was through writing. He is highly dedicated to his writing, and he never runs out of topics to write about. It is not easy for everyone to write, but for Ustaz Ash'ari, writing has become part of his life. A writer of articles and poetry, he produces them at such an astonishing rate that there are even now many more new articles and poems that have yet to be published. If inspected closely, an unusual thing about Ustaz Ash'ari's book is that they do not contain footnotes or bibliographies. For the reader, this is a clear indication that he does not refer to any documents or text written by other spiritual writers. If one were to compare his writings with those penned by previous ulama or religious scholars, the knowledge that he shares fulfills the truth of Islam and has been perfected for contemporary times. In addition, he frequently addresses issues that exist in our current turmoil, which have strayed from Rasulullah's teaching due to close-mindedness and forgetfulness. Ustaz Ash'ari's writings have never deviated from the ultimate goal of bringing people back to God. His message is always the same, God. He frequently emphasizes the importance of knowing God, in that we are to know Him, along with His attributes and actions. Once you truly know God, love and fear of Him follow suit. This neatly follows the hadith, which says, the beginning of religion is to know Allah. Additionally, his books do not focus on a single branch of knowledge, such as only Tawhid or Tasawwuf only. Instead, his writings encompass the integration of Islamic and global knowledge. This refers to the branches of Iman, Islam, and ihsan, or Aqidah, Sharia, and Tasawwuf. According to the Ustaz, we need to be reunited with the values of Rasulullah and his Sahaba, where the Islamic pursuit of knowledge was not focused on one specific field. Islam needs to be applied across all three of the previously mentioned fields before it can be accepted as global and complete. In fact, all three fields are interrelated with one another. Ustaz Ash'ari's writings are different from that of a thesis or intellectual analysis. The reason for this is because Ustaz Ash'ari's knowledge is not limited to theories on a piece of paper. He practices everything that he teaches. He writes about polygamy just as he himself practices it. He writes about the importance of forming a jama'ah just as he himself has formed one. He writes about da'wah just as he himself goes around the world to da'wah. He writes about the Rasulullah's education just as he himself starts an educational system which he first implements with his children. He writes about the Islamic economy system, just as he himself has started up a corporate company with many branches dedicated to the service of the community. He writes about culture, just as he himself promoted Islamic culture by forming Nasheed groups. It needs to be mentioned here that his writings do not merely contain information. The real purpose of his writings are to touch the spirit of the people who read them. Between the physical and spiritual sides of a human being, it is the spiritual side that is more important. The three constituents that form a person's spiritual form are the mind, the heart, and the nafs or desires, all three of which need to be nurtured properly. His writings can be considered nutrition for the human spirit, with the hope that the spiritual side will aid and strengthen the relationship between a person and